Hi everyone. So today is Thursday video day. I kind of teased what I was gonna do on Twitter, and it seemed to get pretty receptive. And so, just a warning: if I sweat or wipe my face, it is 100 plus outside in Los Angeles, and it's just hot. So stay hydrated. I got my fancy wine, stemless wine, full of water or vodka. No, just water. So stay hydrated, Los Angeles. But okay, so today I wanted to talk about my top three worst or top three panic attacks, I guess. And what a panic attack is. Each person is different with their panic attacks. It's just how your body initially reacts. So basic terminology is, have you ever been in a flight or fight mode? So you get really nervous and your body just instantly is just like, I'm ready to go, or it's like, I'm ready to run. And in the case of a panic attack, it is constant fight mode. Your body is at odds with itself. And so when I have a panic attack, what usually happens is your heart races. That's a common. You can't breathe. That's also a common. I usually get a weird random pain. Like, I was just, punched in the arm, or just one random sharp pain somewhere. Not quite sure what that deal is about. And I can't sit still. Like, some people can sit still and they can lay down and be just fine, but I can't. I have to keep moving. And so, yeah, I always cannot breathe. It's very hard, very difficult for me to breathe. I get shaky, as I'm now, but that's my hypoglycemia. I just ate something. But, shaky, you can't really think, you can't really process. There's just a lot. You're just go, go, go. And it's bad, but I've seen people who just, burst into tears. Like I said, every one person's panic attacks is different. And as I was always, I'm a huge advocate of helping people who have panic attacks, so please ask that person what they want during their attacks, because it could be completely different. I'm usually I need to talk to someone, I need to talk it out. Some people need to go be secluded, some people just need a hug. Please ask that person before you go and see, oh my god, what the hell is happening? Why is she doing that? Let's try and just be courteous. So I guess let's do the worst, number 3. And if this is a trigger warning, I do apologize. This is just me sharing my experiences. Again, I am not a doctor. Let me preface that. I cannot give you legal health advice. I'm just speaking from my experiences. But panic attack number 3. It happened about a year ago during the summer. I was at work. Which I'm not gonna say because I don't want creepy stalkers. But I was at work, and all of a sudden, I heard a multitude of gunshots, and it was after 4th of July. My work is near relatively a big neighborhood area, so I was thinking maybe fireworks, and then I heard people calling on a phone. Yeah, there's a gunman. It's gonna be really scary. Mom, I'm okay. Where are you guys at? Blah, blah, blah. We're not allowed to leave the store. Instantly, gunman, not allowed to leave the store. I instantly run to my managers, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Apparently, there was a gunman down the street, not but half a block down the street, and officers were going from store to store to say, hey, do not come in the store. There is a live shooter. And after all the things with, the terrorism, I was like, holy crap. Instantly. It didn't take but 2 seconds. Boom. I was gone. I literally just crumpled to the floor. And everyone's like, are you okay, Vivian? And I could not speak. I got red in the face, couldn't breathe. and I know this sounds very, very scary, and kind of cliche, but I was like rocking back and forth. And that was one of the only big panic attacks I've ever had at work, but I feel like it was a just cause. Apparently it was a cop-assisted suicide, which is unfortunate, and that was the first time my managers ever saw me like that, and which is absolutely scary, because they don't know what's going on, and I, like, did all my breathing, and they took me home. They closed the entire, block down. And, but we weren't allowed to go back for 24 hours because of the fact that he's like, I planted bombs. Like, totally justified for someone to have a panic attack. Like, called my mom, told her I loved her, everything was okay, but, so that was good. I guess number 2. I'm trying to keep this video short because I can blabble on about this. Number 2 was my first real big panic attack after going off my medication. Your medication is meant to help you feel good. I was feeling good, and I was like, I don't need my pills anymore. I feel good. So I was like, and and some people don't. Some people have like one blip in the road and like go for a little bit and they start feeling good and they can taper off their medication and be perfectly just fine. I'm not one of those people. I have chronic anxiety and depression. And so I tapered off the medication, and it was around Christmas, and it was like the first full time that I think all of it had finally left my system. And I was laying in bed, and I was watching TV on Netflix, and just this heat washed over me. And I know that's a telltale sign. If I have a huge rush of heat, a huge surge of energy wash through me, and like instantly I'm like, okay, get up, let's go. Start walking, start doing deep breathing, literally instantly panic attack. And I was just crying. I was on the phone with my dad. And it was really, really bad. Eventually, I calmed myself down. It was my first panic attack after being on medication. It was my first panic attack in give or take 2 years. First major one. And so I'm calling my dad. I eventually calmed myself down. I went back to sleep. That wasn't until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up. My chest was so heavy. I literally could not breathe in. I was gasping for air, and in my mind, that was the worst ever. And I tried, I turned on my AC to get a flow of air going, and I got up, I tried to cough, and it just made it worse. And I called my mom, and I was like, Mom, I can't. And she's like, Vivian, breathe, Vivian. And she's telling me. Eventually I was able to get that breath of air in. And I'll talk about my first panic attack here in a second, but I never ever wanted to go to an ER again for my panic attacks. But I literally could not breathe. I was pale, I was kind of blue, I was like, oh great. And so I literally was having one of the worst panic attacks ever in my life, at 2:30 in the morning, and my mom literally stayed on the phone with me. And my apartment, as we've been through, is super small. It's a studio apartment. I literally paced back and forth. And it was, without my mom, she's huge in my support system and everything like that. And without her, I don't think I would have been able to make it through the night. And, throughout the rest of the time, I had a majority of panic attacks until my parents were like, maybe you need to be on this medication for a while. And they always happened at night, and my mom was always there to pick up the phone at 3 or 2 o'clock in the morning, despite having to work the next day. And she would okay, just a sec, blah, 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 blah. And we would pin stuff, I would pacing and be pinning stuff and trying to distract myself, doing my deep breathing exercises. it can be really scary. And so I guess that leads to panic attack number one, which is the first one ever. I was a sophomore in college, and it was the day before my first date ever. I came from a very small town. I did not date in high school because I was related by blood or marriage to a majority of the town. Very small farming community. So I was going on my first date, and I was going to go spend a day in Seattle with this guy, and I was really excited, but I was also really stressed because there was so much going on. Like, I was in a musical, I was an RA, I was going on my first date, and just all of a sudden, like, I started feeling weird, the rush of energy and everything like that. And we talked about totally brain fart. So I was feeling weird, and I had no idea what was going on. I called my dad, and my dad's like, "No, you're fine." My dad is EMT. He's an emergency medical technician, and I was like, "My dad, you're totally fine." And then it was like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't stand upright. My legs didn't work. I started crying. I was sitting outside my window trying to breathe, trying to do everything, and my dad's like, "I'm not quite sure what's going on," because he had not gone through this as an EMT. He's like, "Something's seriously wrong." My heart was racing, my head was on fire, and he's like, "Okay, you need to call." So I, as an RA, I called dispatch, and I was like, "This is Data RA, I'm not feeling right. Can we get an RD over here?" The RD called the paramedics, the EMTs from the local fire station, and I got an IV full of saline solution to help me because they thought I was dehydrated. I got transported to the hospital, to the emergency room, where they did an EKG. I got a brain scan. I think those are called MRIs, or CAT scan. I can't remember. They looked at my brain. I got an EKG. I got some blood drawn, and then they're like, "So we can find nothing wrong with you." And they sat me down, and after being transported from like a room to a really scary room in the back of the ER, why I was put there, no clue. I felt like I was in a prison cell, first off. And they're like, "Well, do you have any mental health issues in your family?" And, I list, I'm not going to say what else my family has, but I listed it off. And they're like, yeah, so we're going to bring in, they had a 24-hour emergency mental health therapist where I was at. And so we talked, and they're like, "Since we can't find anything wrong with you, you're amazingly healthy. You probably just had a panic attack." And they didn't diagnose me. I had to go to a couple of therapists and a couple of psychologists since then, and I got the official diagnosis of panic disorder or anxiety. And I can say from those experiences, like, I know what to do now, but it is, for anyone who's ever gone through a panic attack, it is scary as hell, because you think the worst is going to happen, and you don't know exactly how anything's going to work out. You literally think, on most cases in my panic attacks, even though I know it's a panic attack, I think I'm dying. It's that bad. And sometimes when you have them in front of people and people just don't understand, it gets incredibly scary. So, well, I want to try and keep this a short video, and 15 minutes seems great as a ending spot. So if you feel like you want to share this, go ahead. If you feel like this would be a great piece for people to watch, to know that they're not alone, this is why I do it. I'm not to get internet famous. I want to share it so that people know that there are people out there like them. And so if you like it, give it a like, comment, subscribe if you feel like you need someone to just listen. Remember, I love you guys. I'm gonna always be here for you, no matter what. I believe in you. I know how hard it can be. Um, so, until next time, guys, sláinte.